Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video for Fantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. In today's video, we're going to be continuing the look at the weapon guides for new players. And in keeping with the theme of the last couple of episodes, we're going to be concentrating on the classes that Sega have got a campaign on for at the moment. So at the moment, there's a campaign to level up Fighter, Gunner, or Tekka. We've already covered some of the Fighter and Tekka weapons. So today we're going to be looking at the main Gunner weapon, which is the Twin Machine Gun. So we're going to look at the basic moveset, look at the Fortnite, and then look at some of the skills that benefit it, just to give new players a basic idea of how the weapon works. Now, twin machine guns it's a ranged weapon, so it uses ranged affixes. But generally, the way it's played is that you play it quite close range, so you almost play it like a melee weapon. So the basic moveset of the twin machine guns is your first attack is a few quick shots. Second attack is a couple more quick shots, and then you get that little burst from each gun as well. This is your full combo. So, as I've said, it's quite a short range weapon. Can't really tell too much with how the bullets look, but it is quite short range. The damage does fall off quite fast, so you do want to be quite close to the enemies when you're using it. That's your basic moveset. Next up is your weapon action. So without any directional input, the weapon action does this little dash. It has some armor to it, and basically it's just used to do a bit of damage to the enemy, but you can also use it to essentially parry through things. So you can see there is like a small parry window at the end of it. If you hold it with the direction, you can kind of bounce around. So it depends on which direction you hold. So if I hold forward, it sort of leaps forward and pirouettes. If I hold back, just this like backwards retreat. If I hold to the side, just like a cartwheel. This, if you played base game PSO2, is probably quite familiar to you. That's how a lot of your damage came from with base game PSO2. During this, you can also attack as well. So if I do a side dash and then hit my normal attack, you can see that there is the ability to actually shoot while you're doing it as well. That makes Gunner quite a mobile class. So next up, we're going to look at the Fortnites. So with twin machine guns, again, like most weapons in NGS, you have 4 different Fortnites. So you have Bullet Rave, Aimless Rain, Point Blank, and Infinite Ricochet. So the first one we'll look at is Bullet Rave. So it's launch a powerful focus shot after losing fire intermittently. Charging increases the potency. Now, charging is one of the main things you need to be doing with Gunner in general. So with twin machine guns in particular. So there is a mechanic with Gunner which is integral to using twin machine guns, which is called the chain system. Now, I need to cover this now because it's not actually connected to anything like a Fortnite or a skill. It's just a inbuilt mechanism into the weapon. So the way that chain works is if you hold a Fortnite down, you actually can charge it. If you then hit an enemy with a charged Fortnite, you'll start building up a chain. And then you can continue to increase that chain by using normal attacks or uncharged Fortnites. And then at any point, you can choose to end that chain by doing another charged Fortnite. And what will happen is whatever you use for the charged Fortnite at the end will do increased damage based on how high your chain number is. So I will try and show that a little bit in combat as well. But first of all, I'll show you how the basic Fortnites work. So the first one we're going to cover is this Bullet Rave. So uncharged. See, it just fires a huge barrage of shots and then finishes with like a more powerful shot. And again, if you hold the button, you can see she goes into this charging stance. There's also a color indication as well, so if you do it uncharged, bullets are blue. But if you do it charged, bullets are purple. So you basically want to use those purple shots to start your chain, then use the blue shots to build the chain, and then the purple shot to end the chain again. So that's for Bullet Rave. Next one is Aimless Rain. This is pelt the surrounding enemies with a hail of bullets as you spin round and round. Charging increases the potency. So uncharged. So she basically just pirouettes around and fires bullets in all directions. So it's really good for hitting large groups of enemies. With this as well, you can actually hold the direction during it as well. And you will actually get a lot more distance on it. Once she lands on the ground the first time, she is locked in that position then, so you can't move any more beyond that. But for the first part, where she does the initial kind of cartwheel, you can actually choose the direction of it. So... And again, like all Gunner Fortnite, you can charge it as well. So moving on to the next one, which is Point Blank. So the name says a lot, really. So it's quickly close in on enemies and hit them with a powerful blast. Charge increases the potency. So this, all it is just 2 very quick shots. But this, it actually does quite a lot of damage. And this, honestly, is where a lot of your chain damage will come from. So what will tend to happen is once you build the chain up, quite often you'll rush in and then use a charge version of this, which again you do by holding the Fortnite. So you do that charge version to end the chain. And that's quite often how you get a lot of your damage with Gunner. Unfortunately, a lot of the damage with Gunner is hidden behind this chain, so you need to make sure that you're using the chain as much as possible. So next up is the last Fortnite, which is Infinite Ricochet. So this is fires ricocheting bullets to your front as you dance gracefully. Charge increases the potency. So again, it basically just fires bullets that bounce off the ground and then bounce back. So it's actually really good for like small confined areas because it'll bounce off areas. Don't know if I can show it that well here. Yeah, it doesn't seem to work on certain terrain, but you can see if you watch the bullets, you can see they bounce off the floor. And it's just a good Fortnite for hitting enemies within a certain corner in front of you. And again, like all the other Fortnite, you can charge it. So that's the basic Fortnite. So it's quite simple to use twin machine guns at its heart, but you just need to remember that you always need to be using the chain as much as possible. Once you release a chain, there is a little cooldown before you can use another one, but generally you want to be in chain as much as possible. Or in chain and then detonating the chain as much as possible. The damage that you get from the end of the chain as well depends on how high the chain is. So you don't want to just go into a chain, get to say 3 or 4 and then end it, because you'll get barely any damage difference. If you're going into a chain, you want to build that chain up, particularly against things like bosses. You want to be building that chain up to like, up to 100 maybe, just so you can get the best damage possible out of it. So next thing we're going to look at is some of these skills with Gunner that affect twin machine guns. So if we look at Gunner, Gunner's quite a strange class because although it uses 2 different weapons, so it uses twin machine guns and assault rifle, all of the skills are almost exclusively designed for twin machine guns. It's almost like assault rifle's an afterthought. So really, I would only consider assault rifle to be a ranged weapon, to be honest. It's very rarely used on Gunner. So with Gunner, you have a skill called Chain Trigger. So this is unleashed by hitting an enemy with a charged Fortnite. So this is the skill you need to learn to get the chain to start, but you need to make sure you have this skill because this skill is absolutely integral to using Gunner. So unleashed by hitting an enemy with a charged Fortnite. For a set time, the chain number increases each time you hit. Landing another charged Fortnite during this time launches a chain finisher boost, increasing damage dealt for a set time, according to the chain number. So not only does it increase the damage of that final hit, you will actually get a bit of a damage buff for a little period as well. And you can see there it says potency increase per chain 1%. So every 1 chain you build up, you'll get another 1% damage. So next thing I'll be looking at is dodge PP again. So a successful dodge using a sidestep or twin machine gun weapon action recovers PP. So again, like most weapons, you can dodge with twin machine guns as well. It's quite a basic dodge, but you can use that to dodge attacks as well. And you'll gain PP back if you dodge successfully. Realistically, with twin machine guns, most of your dodging is probably going to be from the weapon action. Next up, you've got slow landing attack gunner and slow landing charge gunner. So these are very similar. So slow landing attack gunner basically means that while you're doing normal attacks in the air, you'll fall slower. So again, if I just jump and then let myself fall, I'll go straight back down. But if I do an attack, you see she does drop still fairly quickly, but she does definitely hover in the air a bit more. And then slow landing charge basically means that while you're charging a Fortnite, you'll stay in the air longer as well. So you can see it's like a slow descent down. So next up, we have Hail of Bullets. So this is an active skill that goes on your sub palette. So it performs a sustained rapid fire attack by expending a gauge built up by attacking. Chain finishing and chain boost effects are not added to this attack. So yeah, so it doesn't boost chain as such. Basically, it's this icon at the bottom here. And I will have to actually build it up in a combat zone. So as you attack enemies, this will build up. Basically, what it does is you just go full auto with the twin machine guns for a couple of seconds, and it just focuses fire on one particular enemy. So it's quite good for things like bosses, but it is something you'll only get to use now and again because you do have to charge it up. Next up, we have Stylish Onslaught. So this is performing weapon actions without any directional input will turn it into an advancing rush. So that's what I've already shown you, which is this dash forward. For some reason, the sound effect on that is really loud. I have no idea why. Next up is Rising Drive. This is at just the right timing after performing a weapon action. Pressing the normal attack button will cause you to rise while attacking. So I believe this is when you do a weapon action, you probably notice that there's like a little purple flash on her at the end. And I think if you attack when that's active, you can see if you might be hard to notice, but she actually gain a little bit of height. So if I do it in the air, she gains a little bit of height. It's not much, but you do gain some. You see she has to drop back down to the ground again. The benefit of that, as I suppose, is with Gunner, you can stay airborne quite easily with your weapon action by doing this in the air. So you can stay airborne quite a lot. And by doing that, you can see it does sort of maintain your air a little bit. It's only a very small increase though, so I don't think it's a massive benefit. I think if you hit an enemy with it, you might get a bigger increase. I'm not sure. So next up we have Chain Trigger Quick Reload, which is after Chain Finisher boost is triggered, depending on the size of the chain during Chain Trigger, the reuse time will be shortened. So what this does is after you finish a chain, the higher the chain was when you finished it, the quicker it will recharge. That doesn't mean that longer chains will recharge faster than short chains. It just means that the reload time before you can do another chain is shortened. So say if you got to 100 chain and ended it, and it was, for example, a 5-second recharge time, this might shorten it to 3 seconds, for example. There's theoretical figures, but it's just to give you an idea how it works. Next up, we have Chain Boost. This is for a set time after Chain Finisher boost is triggered. Weapon actions will change and attack speed will increase depending on the size of the chain. Yes, so this basically means that once you finish a chain, you get more attack speed, so you can actually attack a lot faster. It lasts for about 2 minutes or so. So again, it's focusing on you. You need to keep making sure that you're activating this chain and then ending the chain at the right times. Chain Trigger Count Return. And again, you can see nearly all of these skills are connected to Chain Trigger. So if you don't have Chain Trigger, you are missing out on most of what machine guns have to offer. So for Chain Trigger Count Return, this is when a chain trigger ends without a chain finisher boost. The chain number of the next chain trigger you use will start at a higher number based on the previous chain number. Now that is extremely wordy. The easy way of explaining that is, if you have a chain active and then you don't attack an enemy for a little while, you'll lose that chain. If you have this skill and you do that, the next time you do a chain, you'll start with a little bit of chain already. So say, for example, you get to 20 chain and then that spawn of enemies finishes. You lose the chain. Next time you do a chain trigger, your count might start, say, at 10 or 15, instead of starting at 1 again. Then we have stylish roll art. So this is, while weapon action is active, pressing the PA button will consume PP to perform a high potency attack. It's kind of hard to hear, but it sounds almost the same. But basically, if you watch my PP gauge, I'll just let it restore a bit. There is a subtle sound difference to it as well, but visually it doesn't look much different. But so my PP gauge is now full. If I now do a weapon action and then hit the PA button, that little burst of fire there is that skill. So next one is spread shot. We've already covered that. That's mainly an assault rifle skill. So look at my assault rifle video if you want to see how that works. Next, we've got chain finish advance. So this is makes you invulnerable for a set period when you perform a chain finish. So again, it's focusing on this chain again. So when you finish that chain and get your damage increase and your speed increase, you'll also be invulnerable for a couple of seconds. Then we've got chain trigger increase. This is increases the maximum chain number of a chain trigger to 150. Normally it's 100. However, potency increase for each chain will be reduced after chain 101. So it's a 1% increase until you get to potency 100, until you get to chain 100. Then after that, it's a 0.5 increase beyond that. Chain boost advanced is during a chain boost, your weapon's action's invulnerability is extended. Successful dodges using your weapon action extend the duration of your chain boost. So yeah, so you can basically keep your chain going by using successful dodges. Next up, we have stylish roll strike back, which is after a successful dodge with the weapon action, the first twin machine gun fortnite you use will consume more PP but also have increased potency. So you essentially counter and then hit them with a more powerful fortnite, but it costs more PP as well. Then we have stylish roll counter bullet. A successful dodge with a weapon action simultaneously unleashes a counter attack. So if you do a weapon action and dodge an attack with it successfully, you will automatically counter. That's really similar to how the Knuckles counter works as well. Then just the last couple of skills. So we've got chain finish PP preservation, which is decreases your PP consumption for a set period of time when you perform a chain finish. So after you've finished that chain, you'll then also use less PP. So you're attacking faster, you're doing more damage, you're invulnerable for a little bit, and you're using less PP. So again, it's very heavily incentivizing you using that chain finish. Then we have Hail of Bullets Amplify. This is increases the gauge charge rate for Hail of Bullets for a set period of time after performing a chain finish. So again, chain finish again. So this will make your Hail of Bullets charge faster once you've done chain finish. So what that will allow you to do is fill in the damage between your chains. So you'll do a chain finish, and then you'll charge up your Hail of Bullets faster, and you'll be able to get your Hail of Bullets in maybe before your next chain starts. Because it is a big increase in the gauge, so it's a 350% increase. And then finally, we have Strike Back Advanced, which is after a successful dodge using a weapon action, the next fortnite you use will grant an invulnerability period. So again, it's giving you some invulnerability. So as you can see, the way that Gunner works, it's almost exclusively designed around twin machine guns. Assault rifle, like I've said before, is almost there as an afterthought. And it's very, very heavily focused on building that chain. Just to quickly show you what the chain looks like. Just so you know how it looks in game. But yeah, the way Gunner works, it is almost exclusively built around that chain. So go and quickly find an enemy. And I'm just going to really quickly just show you how the chain works. So the first thing I do is I'll do a charge Fortnite. You can see there's that blue gauge on me now that says 16 chain. And if I keep attacking, that gauge will increase. And again, using uncharged Fortnite will also build it as well. It also builds by hitting different enemies as well. So I can keep building this up. And let's say we want to end it now. So now I do a charge Fortnite. It does a lot more damage, and that ends the chain. And I've got that damage increase while that's active. But now my damage is probably reset by now. What you may have saw there as well, it might have been hard to see, but my normal bullets went purple for a little bit. And that's the skill that boosts your normal damage for a little bit as well. So that's a very rough idea of how the chain works. So that's twin machine guns in a nutshell, really. I would say they are one of the slightly more complicated weapons to use in NGS just because there is so many different mechanics. The chain mechanic itself is quite easy to use, but you have so many skills that are dependent on it. So it's about balancing those skills and realizing when different boosts are active and so on. So there is definitely a little bit more nuance to machine guns. And for me personally, they're not one of my favorite weapons in the game. I'm not a massive fan of Gunner, to be honest. The main reason for doing this video is just to make people aware of how the twin machine guns work, and particularly during this campaign that Sega run at the moment, just so you can focus on Gunner and get it leveled up. I believe the campaign goes on until early October, I think. Yeah, so this campaign, it's this one for Fighter Gunner and Tekka, so it actually goes on till the 4th of October, so there is a few more days left for it. So that's more or less a rundown of how twin machine guns work. If you've got any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer what I can. Overall, I think twin machine guns are definitely one of the more complicated weapons, but they are quite rewarding if you learn how to use them properly. Next videos, we'll be doing some more weapon guides, trying to cover the rest of the weapons in NGS. And as I mentioned in a previous video, I am going to be trying to move to 2 uploads a week now as well. So I'm going to be trying to do 1 upload on a weekend and then 1 upload midweek as well, just so there's a bit more content on the channel. If there's anything in particular you want me to look at, either with NGS or with earlier Phantasy Star Online games, just let me know in the comments. You can also hit me up on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at section_Skyline. Feel free to hit me up on there as well if there's anything in particular you want to see on the channel. But for the meantime, I'll end this video there. Any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.